Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter. I am your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer for Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. Great to be with you today. I'm very excited to be joined by my deputy editor, Aiden. Uh, I almost said it, Aiden Champion. I always call you O'Connell, and that just frustrates me. Too many Aidens in my life, but it's always no. There's never. Each of you is a blessing, so there's not too many. But the great Aiden Champion's with me. He's our deputy editor. I'm telling you, we're pumping out. Last month, nearly 14 pieces of content every day, and you guys are consuming it. Great videos. Make sure you're checking it out. Hey, 12 days from training camp. And in training camp, we'll be pumping out video every day. Lots of it, lots of articles. So stay tuned. It's going to be great. Aiden, let's get right into it today. We have some very big topics we want to discuss. The first one that I want to talk about is the Raiders having open practice at Allegiant Stadium. They're going to Cali for training camp. I love the idea. They're coming back 2 weeks before the season, having two open practices so everybody can go. We had an email yesterday from a kid. I think his name was Corey, but I may be wrong. Maybe Tommy. I don't remember, Corey or Tommy, but his dad and mom are bringing him up for a practice. I love this. I think it's a great move by the Raiders, great PR, and great for everybody to experience the Raiders in Allegiant Stadium.
Oh yeah, it's only right. I mean, one of the most storied fan bases in all of sports. You got to reward them. It's awesome that they're going out to Cali, but you know, allow the fans to be a part of that in some way. It would have been tough to make that happen in California, but you know, I think this is definitely a great move, and fans should definitely be excited.
All right, I want to talk about the offensive line. In my projection of the 53-man roster, I said I had 52 guys projected, and then somebody can earn that 53rd spot. I'm not sure that person's on the roster right now, but there's a lot of guys who could step up and be that guy. I'm going to talk to you about the 8, and then I want your opinions on it. Obviously, Colton, Jackson Powers Johnson, Andre James, Dylan Parham, Cody Whitehair, Andrus Pete, Delmar Glaze, and Thayer Mumford. Do you think they go 9? I mean, 8's a stretch. They usually go 7, a lot of teams. Do you think they go 9? Do you agree with those 8? What do you think of the depth? Is there any guys that you think? What's your thoughts on all of
I would agree. I think that group right there is, for now, is really all you need. I mean, I think one thing that really isn't being talked about with this O line, which is so different from the discussion that surrounded this unit in past years, is that just about all those guys are starting material. I mean, Delmar, um, he's kind of the odd one out, but on some teams he would be a starter.
it? Mm-hmm.
And you look at Andrus Pete and Cody Whitehair. I still don't think, in terms of free agency, those were huge pickups for the Raiders. I don't think anyone's talking about them. I mean, these are former Pro Bowlers, and when I say former Pro Bowlers, it's not like they're not, necessarily Pro Bowl caliber type players anymore. They were both, full-time starters last year. Andrus Pete got 9 years of veteran experience under his belt. Whitehair comes from Getsy's system. So the Raiders have a great problem, and I say problem because they're gonna have to figure out their starting core, and they've got great options there. You can't really go wrong. So
Yeah.
I would agree with you there, Hondo.
The thing that I don't think people are talking about is I think that um there is that Thayer has the advantage over Cassis, no doubt. And I think JPJ has the advantage over Cody. But the difference is JPJ banged up a little bit in OTA, I mean, in the offseason. But Cody Whitehair is a guy right there. And I think they want the younger guys to get it. I think they like the upside. They're willing to take some growth from JPJ. But whereas I think Thayer is entrenched, I don't think Cassis beats him. I think it's JPJ's job to lose, but I don't think he's entrenched. I think Cody could beat him. but they're going to give, if a tie goes to JPJ, Cody's going to have to just be exponentially better. And I don't even mean a little. It's going to have to be a lot better to knock him off because he's young with a big future.
Yeah, and regardless of who starts at that spot, you've got the depth there, and you can depth is huge on the O line for these big guys who are they're taking the most contact of anyone on the field whole game. So you got to be able to rotate that line. That's going to be huge for them.
I want to talk about Delmar Glaze with you for a minute because this is a guy that he was a player and he was a guy that was going to get drafted coming on Maryland. He goes to the Senior Bowl. And I don't think at Maryland, I don't think we're talking disparagingly. I don't think it was a system fit to his talents. I don't know that I would call the coaching the greatest at Maryland, although I don't think it's bad. I just don't think it's great at an NFL caliber. He gets to the Senior Bowl. In the first 2 days, he was not good. But then they went and corrected some technique. They explained to him how his stature, his athleticism fit the scheme. They started to run some zone and some wide zone at the Senior Bowl. And multiple people, not just Raiders, multiple people told me that he was the best offensive lineman from day 3 all the way through the Senior Bowl game. They thought he was a steal. I know of 4 or 5 teams that loved him, that were going to get him. One of them, in fact, when the Raiders picked him, texted me, my buddy that works the organization, said, "You guys just stole him. We wanted him bad. We thought we were going to be able to sneak him." And they weren't. I think Delmar Glaze is a guy there's going to be some project, but I think he has massive upside.
Definitely, and that's why I say, on some teams he's a starting caliber guy. It just so happens that this Raiders offensive line is so stacked. But again, that's where depth is going to come into play. I'm very interested to see him in preseason. I think that's going to be huge for him, and all the young guys who could potentially be seeing some impactful snaps. But I agree. I think he's got a very high ceiling, and he could be a key piece for their future.
I agree. All right, Aiden, I want to go a little bit of a different direction here. This guy is certainly going to impact the offensive line, but he blocks like an offensive lineman. He catches like a receiver. He is Michael Mayer. Now let's go back to 2023. Not only the Raiders, but several teams I know of had him as the number 1 tight end on the board. Now we know that the Lions rookie had a good one, but Mayer also got injured. There was multiple teams that said Michael Mayer, Notre Dame, number 1 tight end on the board, and it's not even close. The Raiders stole him. They were able to move up. They got him and stole him where they got him. This is a guy I think a lot of people are underselling. I think a lot of guys are missing on. I think he has, and then Brock comes in, who was such a star for so long at Georgia. He is so good. I explain it like this: it's like Jacoby and Devontae. They're both wide receiver ones. It's not fair to Jacoby to be compared to Devontae because he's that good. And because Michael has not really done as much in the NFL, when you look at their college tape, Brock is Devontae, but man, Michael Mayer is Jacoby. I think they're both studs. I think they're both stars. I am a buyer on Michael Mayer.
Absolutely. And the biggest question, obviously, with Brock Bowers, with the Raiders drafting Brock Bowers, is where does Michael Mayer fit into all this? And we keep talking about Getsy's 12 personnel and how he's still going to be utilized. And my thing is the Raiders weren't going to go and get Bowers and say, we're not using Mayer anymore. They're not going to ignore their second round pick, arguably their best draft pick from last year, arguably, one of the best younger assets on their team. It's just not going to happen. There's a plan for him still, And there's only one ball, like you said, with Jacoby and Devontae. I mean, they're both going to get their touches, both still going to have an impact. It's okay to have, you know, another tight end at that such high of level. Um, and I still think he will really complement this offense. I really do, and he showed tremendous signs of it last year. Unfortunately, his momentum was halted with that season-ending injury. But I think you know people can't sleep on this guy. They really can't.
Yeah, if they do, they're doing it at their own risk. All right, Aiden, I want to stay on the subject of Mayer for a minute. But as you know, I talked to him at mandatory minicamp, and I asked him, what did it mean to you before the Brock Bowers pick or right after it, somewhere in there? I'm told that they had called before the pick, and by the time the pick got in, then they were able to talk to him. But that they called to tell you, we're taking Brock, but this is no means we're turning our back on you. We're all in. You're our guy. We believe in you. I think it just shows the character and integrity of Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, and why this team loves them, because they keep everybody in the loop. And you saw that video. And for those of you that are watching and didn't, we've got the video on our YouTube channel. You can go look at Las Vegas Raiders Inside with Hondo Carpenter. Just search Michael Mayer from Mandatory Minicamp. You can find it, or if you're listening to it, you can check it right there wherever you listen or watch the videos. But he was genuinely appreciative. I think that showed us a window into the relationship AP has with his players and Tom. Would you agree?
100%. And unfortunately, that's not the case with a lot of other teams. You don't see that all the time, like you would think you would.
Mhm.
And that is huge with AP. Letting his guys know where they stand with them. I'm sure he'd be honest with them if he said, you know, unfortunately, we don't really see a plan here. You're gonna
Like
have to.
Marcus Peters last year,
Yep. Yeah. Perfect
you
example.
let him go.
Yeah. Um,
All right, go ahead.
no, I think that is huge. And just another one of the many traits about AP that the players appreciate about him.
Absolutely love it about him. All right, I want to switch directions a little bit because we're 12 days away from camp. And I've been beating this drum a little bit. And Mark Davis gets a lot of negative. People comment about his hair, which makes no sense to me. Who cares how people wear their hair? That's just stupid. And, though the Raiders are broke, which is not true, they are wealthy. He was able to do, I've said this, and he has said he's not the football man that Al Davis was. We're not pretending that he is, but he's 100 times better businessman than his father. He deserves all the credit in the world for that. He was able to move the team, get a new stadium, no lawsuits. Now they're rolling in money and he's spending it, whether it's screens for the practice field or whatever it may be. Now he's moving. Think about this: security, cooks, housekeeping, and not housekeeping for the hotel, but hotels. He's moving everybody, players, coaches, down to Costa Mesa for training camp. It's costing him millions of dollars. This is a guy, you can be critical of some of the decisions he made, and that's fair. I've been critical, but you cannot call this man cheap or say he doesn't care. He's putting his money where his mouth is, and I think he needs to be applauded. I'd love your thoughts on this.
Again, I agree with you. I hate that I keep agreeing with you here, Hondo, but um,
One of my minions.
no, but it is huge, and effort is a big thing. I mean, when he's got such a big responsibility here, and unfortunately for him, whether it's his fault or not, the Raiders haven't been at that same level of success that his father had been able to accomplish um, at every level he was well with the organization. But he's trying, and he is he knows what the fans deserve. If he can't give them wins, he's going to give you, the best stadium in the league. He's going to give you the best tailgate experience. Going to give you, the most access he can give you. Um, and he's. I don't want to say making up for it because the fans want wins, but the effort is there. It is, and he appreciates his fan base, and he should. I agree. I think he should be cut a little slack for that.
All right. 2 emails for you this week. These are the first emails I think we've ever gotten for you, isn't it?
Correct.
All
I
right.
I
The
have not
first
gone.
one, Hondo. College football EA Sports is coming out next week. I'm just curious. Can you ask Aiden, is he a PlayStation or Xbox guy? And what is you and his favorite gaming system for football? So are you going to be playing EA College Sports? I know my son Shane is. He can't hardly wait. It's on Monday. How about, are you going to play?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm so
Are
excited.
you?
I play Xbox, by the way. I'm an Xbox guy. I always have been. I just like really comes down to the controller. I like the placement. Um, I like the size of it. Also, all my friends have Xbox, so I'm able to play with them on that.
All right. Now my son Shane has a PlayStation. What's the latest one? Is it a 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got that the year it came out, and he just plays that. He can't wait. As far as me, I like Tecmo Bowl, and I think that is that on a Tory.
Um, I couldn't tell you. I'm
How do you not know what Tecmo Bowl was?
not not that old.
You never played Tecmo Bowl?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, it's the greatest college foot. It's the greatest football game on a computer you ever played. It's fantastic. All right,
Okay.
next one, Hondo. I like the guy that you bring on every week, your deputy editor, who looks like Rip from Yellowstone.
Oh my gosh, I get that all the time, and I love it. He's my favorite character on Yellowstone.
Okay. Um, Need to know this. Is he single? My husband and I love to watch the podcast. We have a daughter who's 41 and single. He would be perfect, and she loves Rip from Yellowstone, and she's a Raider fan. She's also a physical therapist. I'm not going to use their name. I don't want to embarrass their daughter. Uh, I know the answer, but I thought I'd put you on the spot. Aiden Champion, Rip, are you single looking for a Beth?
I am single. Yeah, that's
Okay.
too funny. I
Now
love that.
you tell everybody, what do my wife and I tell you all the time?
Oh, you're always telling me you'd love if I could date your daughter. You'd love to have me as your son-in-law.
Son-in-law. I'll tell you what, I got my daughters. One of them's getting married. One of them's not. But you'd be good. Anyways, I'm not going to start calling you Rip. Don't ask me to. But
You
I
need
do
to
think the
you
next
need
time
to
you're on
watch
the podcast, you should have a cowboy hat.
you need to watch that show, Hondo. I think you'd like it. With you being a big Western guy.
Is it a Western?
Yeah, yeah. It
Okay.
has
And it's
kind
Kevin
of
Costner, right? It's
yes.
Kevin Costner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Kevin. See, I knew that. I knew about Rip and Beth. I'm not a fan of the show. I'm not a, but I'll watch it because I love westerns. If it's a western, it's good. All right, last question I have for you. Fantasy football. Give me an underrated Raider. Nobody's talking about. It's going to produce numbers in fantasy football.
Well, it okay. I'm gonna say Zamir, but I'm hesitant to say it because you say that nobody's talking about. But I feel like I guess that's fair. I don't think many people have him high on their fantasy draft list. But Zamir White, definitely think you know he's not going to be one of those guys who has a big outing week 3 and then the next week drops the ball. I think he's going to be pretty consistent.
I'm going to give you a name that people aren't talking about, and I'm not going to tell you why I feel this way. I'll tell you privately, but I'm not going to say it until after the season starts. Michael Mayer. That guy, I think, is going to have a big year. He came in with Aiden. Aiden's worked out a ton with him. The Rook's the Rook. He's going to get his reps, but I don't think a lot of people are talking about Michael Mayer. There you go, everybody. That's Rip from Yellowstone, a.k.a. Aiden Champion, looking for his bat. I'm Hondo Carpenter. We'll see you all tomorrow.